Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons, where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. So if you like edgier kind of content, please like, share, and subscribe. Please keep commenting. It is great to hear your stories and your experiences and your opinions about everything that we cover. And please support us on Patreon, which will have the link in the description. Without further ado, we're going to jump into this week's video. The Abjuration Wizard. The Abjuration Wizard comes to us from the player's handbook. This wizard is kind of like a tank wizard and almost an anti-wizard wizard. I really like the idea of being a wizard that despises the way other wizards use magic and their purposes and their ideas. Or maybe it's a situation where they went from a school of magic and they saw that all they used this was just in defense, and no one used magic to offensively attack problems and make things better. Rather than waiting for an enemy to lay waste to a village, a couple of wizards could have gone there knowing this was already a problem and handled it. And for fear that people are abusing this power only for monetary gains, and they've become built around fighting other wizards. Like, this is like the Voldemort kind of a wizard. Like, this is not that it inherently reflects Voldemort's abilities, but like it's just a constant battle against specific enemies that are wizards. I like that idea of being just so bound to being anti-magic that you built your spell lists and your abilities around fighting that and being better suited to withstand cowardice of being pushed into a corner, then unleashing all of your offensive magic. And being prepared to handle that, and then being able to lay waste to them afterwards. Like, just weather the storm and then destroy them when they're weak. It's a great kind of idea. I almost imagine kind of like a Sauron kind of a character, where maybe like you don't wear obviously armor, but maybe your cloth has like metal like that just looks crooked and evil and blackened by scorched like ash, and like it just draws out, and it's just decorative, but like you look scary, you know. Like, your power isn't so dynamic that it's just this unique ability to cast magic. Your power is your ability to resist it and endure longer than others, and you build that kind of a framework towards it. And like, I think that really calls to what an abjuration wizard is. Like, you're meant to endure. You're meant to make sure whatever happens, whatever offensive hits hit you, they are diminished and weakened. And it's a great way to give longevity to yourself, to use magic in a different way, and to put weight on other spells, which is something we're going to cover as we get further down into the abilities. When you reach 2nd level and select this school as your wizard school, you gain Abjuration Savant. The gold and time you must spend to copy an abjuration spell into your spellbook is halved. This is nothing new. All the players' handbook subclasses have this, where like it's a reduced price and time for your ability to copy those spells into your spellbook from your design school. It's great for monetary purposes, but in truth, it really doesn't change too much. A lot of the times, either you have way too much gold in the campaign or not enough. As a wizard, it's kind of difficult because a lot of the magic items you'll get really kind of get spaced out. A lot of the times, other classes desperately need them first, so they tend to get them earlier than they do for spellcasters. Either way, they all exist, and you will get them eventually, but that's really going to be most of your money is going to be spent on inks and paper, and it's not too much of a concern. Don't really worry too much about it. The signature ability of the Abjuration Wizard is Arcane Ward. Starting at 2nd level, you can weave magic around yourself for protection. When you cast an abjuration spell of 1st level or higher, you can simultaneously use a strand of the spell's magic to create a magical ward on yourself that lasts until you finish a long rest. The ward has hit points equal to twice your wizard level, plus your intelligence modifier. Whenever you take damage, the ward takes the damage instead. If this damage is reduced to the ward to 0 hit points, you take any remaining damage. While the ward has 0 hit points, it can't absorb damage, but its magic remains. Whenever you cast a spell of 1st level or higher, the ward regains a number of hit points equal to twice the level of the spell. Once you create the ward, you can't create the ward again until you finish a long rest. Now, abjuration spells as a whole are very defensive. At level 1, absorb elements, mage armor, and shield are going to be the more popular ones. As a wizard, you know the benefits of having mage armor and shield, because a lot of the times wizards tend to have a little bit of dexterity, just be able to go first and fast, and that's integral to who they are. Both absorb elements and shield are reactions, so it's great to help reduce the damage you take or avoid an attack as a whole. You don't really gain much at 2nd level, and at 3rd level for spells, I mean, you'll gain Counterspell, Dispel Magic, Magic Circle, Protection from Energy, Remove Curse. All of those are great. You will not be casting them often, but understand how Arcane Ward works. Okay, when you create the ward in its first moment, you gain that huge buff. So at 2nd level, say you have 3, you'll be at 7 temp HP basically. And that'll absorb that damage. At 2nd level, that's pretty big of an HP jump. And you can continuously rebuild that. Do I wish there was an abjuration spell that was offensive? Absolutely. But the purpose here is to ensure that you're constantly replacing the shield at its most opportune times. It's important to you early on to survive, which is the hardest part for the wizard. But you're a wizard. You are not in the front line. You should be really far in the back, or you should be kind of in the middle so you don't get attacked from behind. But you should always be taking a more defensive posture because you're a wizard. But every morning that you cast a spell, the first spell you're probably going to cast is Mage Armor. A lot of times you want that extra armor boost, and it's a quick, easy spell that you can use that you don't have to worry too much about. It's not concentration. It lasts 8 hours. It can make a benefit. It can really be valuable, especially in the very beginning part of the game, where early levels combat is very, very dangerous. But this is where that moment of being able to fight other wizards is important. Because when you're able to cast 3rd level spells and you'll be counterspelling other spells, it's going to be a very big deal for you. Dispelling magic, whatever exists, whatever kind of AoE ground trap, maybe it's entangle or you know, wall of fire or something, just walking over and just banishing that and making yourself stronger because of it, really fits this kind of like this imposing thing where you're just like constantly pulling magic to feed you, and it's almost visceral. And the best way to do is to fight other magical entities. So you kind of build yourself to kind of towards that wonderful idea of just hating this power that other people are mistreating or using poorly. At 6th level, you gain access to Projected Ward. Starting at 6th level, when a creature that you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to cause your Arcane Ward to absorb that damage. If the damage reduces the ward to 0 hit points, the warded creature takes any remaining damage. This is a great way to show the true value of intelligence. As a wizard, you know inherently how important other characters are, and if you see spells or something going towards someone, you can calculate how damaging that is because you would be somewhat familiar with that. So you would be able to use this reasonably as a reaction to shield other party members and make sure it gives you the best odds of winning. It's a game of percentages in your mind. So ensuring that maybe the druid doesn't take full damage from the spell, knowing that they've already been previously hurt, is going to ensure that the druid can live and thus heal up other people and just defy the ability for you to win the combat, survive the fight, or even just escape in the long run. It's a cool thing to do. It's a great way to use your reaction. It's important to note at this point, abjuration wizards have a lot of reaction abilities, but you don't have to worry about offensive abilities because as a wizard, your offense is compensated by your spells. You have access to one of the best spell lists in the game. You can cast almost anything you want. Anything that's not on your spell list, you can write down in your spell book. It gives you this ability to not worry about offense and build purely around abilities that can help make other people survive. This is the one class that you can be a real leadership as a wizard, where it's not just your knowledge of arcane is your only thing, where you can take interest in preserving the lives of others by using your mastery of this magic. And it's a great way to do that. So you can objectifiably use this projected ward and then counterspell the next spell or something like that, where you can kind of save things and kind of, if you know it's a high level spell, maybe you're not confident you'll break that spell with counterspell, but you are confident enough that you will make sure this person survives, and it's early on in combat. Maybe that's better. Maybe you're trying to ward off that wonderful AoE spell, fireball, that maybe the enemy's going to drop, and instead you're kind of protecting them from something else. It's a great way to use that. It's a great way to also keep in mind that it doesn't have to be a magic attack. It can be any attack. If an enemy barbarian runs up and is going to crit your dear friend, save them from some of that damage. It's a great opportunity to use that intellect and to use your ability and to kind of just be full of this idea of how great your power is. You can just toss it to the side to save another, and keeping your ire focused on whatever it is you want. Really building that hate towards whatever it is you want. At 10th level, you gain access to improved abjuration. When you cast an abjuration spell that requires you to make an ability check as a part of casting that spell, as in counterspell and dispel magic, you add your proficiency bonus to that ability check. At 10th level, understand how strong counterspell is and dispel magic. Dispel magic is great because there will be plenty of times which you'll need it to kind of break things down or just really ruin someone's day. Counterspell will save lives. Counterspells will make encounters a breeze, and it is just so powerful of a spell, but it comes at a risk because you have to roll for it. But now you're adding your proficiency bonus to that roll. So now you're getting a big bump into completing that. Now if you need to beat a 9th level spell, all you really need to roll is what? At that level, a 15? That's significantly more doable than just flat out rolling a 19. It's such a boon. Especially considering a lot of the spells you'll be rolling against won't be up that high of level, but you can always upcast it, and it gives you this opportunity to really be this devastating force. Because if you're fighting other casters, just sit in the back and firebolt and just mock them, and when it comes up the opportunity, just counterspell, and they cannot do anything else. Counterspell, and all of their abilities become wasted. They become so weakened by this, and you just grow stronger. Because if they do hit you with something, you're just continuously regenerating your shield. You're just laughing off damage at this point. Because you're the only wizard that can. The final Abjuration Wizard ability is Spell Resistance. Starting at 14th level, you have advantage on saving throws against spells. Furthermore, you have resistance against the damage of spells. That is flat out resistance to all spell damage. That is huge. As opposed to just having individual resistances between radiant, fire, necrotic, thunder, lightning. If it comes from a spell, that damage is halved. Now, having advantage on saving throws against spells already is a big buff. That's part of the reason why the Satyr and the Yuan-Ti get, greatly banned, is because they have that ability flat out. And now you have this at 14th level. Don't get me wrong, it's really high level, but that almost doubles your hit points in a lot of ways. Because also on top of that half damage, it has to go through your Arcane Ward. So now you're making that ward go even further. It makes you so strong and tanky. Although, yeah, you have a D6 hit die, that ward is pushing up pretty high. And you are frightening to other wizards. You are frightening to other spellcasters. And you will be able to absorb their fire. You will be able to endure their blasts. And if you went hit to hit with anyone on equal level, you absolutely would win without having to worry about it. You wouldn't even have to resist it. All you have to do is just keep attacking. Because you can just resist so much. It makes you so tanky. Now, think of it on the other end. Now everything you throw at this guy is just being resisted. The only way to fight him is to be just melee, you know, to run up and just kind of use weapons to attack them. But as a wizard, with the availability to Misty Step and just get out of the way, and then just put up a plethora of different obstacles to prevent someone from being able to just attack you. It's almost a joke at this point. Like, it's frightening how much of a mountain it is just to get to you, and then to be able to continuously attack you. It's hard. It's a big problem. But you're that wizard. You're that wizard that's gotten this availability to get stronger and tankier and be able to do more. All you have to do is just be wizardly. Be smart enough to stay in the back. Keep some maneuverabilities, escapes, or some crowd control abilities in your book, in your play book, ready to go. And you're devastating. You're devastating for being able to do that. It's just... it's a wizard that you can't get being any other wizard. Our final thoughts! The Abjuration Wizard happens to be one of my favorite wizards. I love the idea that your intelligence can be your shield. Your intelligence is where your toughness comes from, where you can weather the storm, where you can take the hits because you're smart enough to keep going. Like, it's this great thing that breeds this, like, this self-absorbed kind of, like, intellect-based, like, I'm superior to everything else. Look what I can do. Look what others have to do just to come to be able to meet me. Your power as a wizard, as a mage, as a lich is not as great, for I can stop all of it. Like, it's wonderful, and it breeds this kind of confidence, and it's just so great to be this arrogant, this, like, powerful entity. I mean, you're a wizard. You can use Phantom Steed, and you can just ride around the battlefield on a spectral steed covered in, like, just decorative evil armor, and when spellcasters come after you, you can just banish all of their offensive abilities until they're done, and just mock them and laugh at them, and then just slowly pick them off the same way they attempted to pick you off, with just minute spells, small things. Maybe throw out Flaming Sphere just to punch them in the face every few moments while you're laughing at them, and then counterspell everything else they do. Like, it gives you this great arrogance to you and strength to back it up, because, like the old saying says, it's not about how hard you get hit, it's about how many times you can keep getting up. Like, you can just keep getting up. Like, it's not going to take you down. Like, you can do so much. You have so many great viable options. Just being able to just be a wizard that can take hits, like, it's great. And being a wizard that other wizards are scared of, and not having it be like an evocation wizard or a necromancy wizard, which most people would be scared of, like your abjuration. Like no one can get to you. Like, you're the iron wall. And, like, it's this great, cool thing. And I really think it inspires a lot of role-playing opportunities, because you can use that and be a leader. You can use Arcane Ward solely to protect everyone else. Like, you can do great things like that. And you have every option in the book to do whatever you want, because you're the wizard. And you have that great Swiss Army knife of abilities with your spells. That being said, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. We're going to bring this to a close. Please like, share, subscribe. Please tell us your stories about your Abjuration Wizards. I really want to hear the time you had with them, if you liked them, if you hated them, if you loved them. And if you're able to, please support us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for giving a spooky kid a chance.